race of the day, the Moto3 race. It's set to be amazing. Hello and welcome to the Circuito de Jerez, a truly legendary World Championship circuit measuring at 4.4 kilometers long, 13 total corners, that's 8 right and 5 left-hand corners. This Moto3 race will be 16 laps. This is, of course, round 7 of the FIMC v Repsol Moto3 Junior World Championship. Here was the stunning first race. There is a title potentially on the line. We'll get to that in a second, but it was Kaito Toba who got the whole shot in race 1, followed closely by the competitor for that title, Marcos Ramirez. Then there were the young guns, Rory Skinner and Raul Fernandez, right with him. Those four broke away early at the start, but then they soon had company from a number of other very familiar names, including Carol Haneker, Lorenzo Della Porta, and Dennis Foggia. The dry sack corner, turn 6, was a famous overtaking spot in that race, with huge moves being made in a couple of race incidents, but luckily most did make it through more or less. Okay, Carol Haneker, having stepped down from the World Championship, he had his turn at leading the race. He was looking very, very strong, settling in behind Raul Fernandez, but then this disaster happened for Kaito Toba, who went in just a bit too hot, couldn't quite get her stopped, and did take out Carol Haneker. Carol Haneker was able to remount, but chance of points were gone. Marcos Ramirez was battling with the likes of Stefano Mans, who had an incredible ride in the World Championship the other week, and Lorenzo Della Porta. It is Della Porta and Ramirez who are the only two mathematical contenders for this championship. Dennis Foggia was also back on form after losing his mojo a bit from that podium in Valencia, and he will be another one to watch. He was hyper aggressive. Watch out for him on the brakes, especially into the last turn. Rory Skinner had an unfortunate crash there, which sent off Tony Arbolino and a couple of the Asia Talent Team riders as well. Hopefully Rory Skinner will be able to rejoin. Chandler Cooper was a back marker who played a bit of a role and did manage to break up the group just a tiny bit. We then did also have a number of penalties after the race for exceeding track limits, which did play a result in the final standings, but it was Marcos Ramirez who won the race and closed up the championship by 5 points. No issues about penalties for him. He now trails Lorenzo Della Porta by 26 points as we head into this race. And with 2 races in Valencia still to go in this Moto3 Junior World Championship, it is still all to play for. My name is Harry Lloyd. Joining me is Dakota Momola. Dakota, I have to say, that first Moto3 race was an absolute barnstormer.
Definitely, Harry. I mean, it's hairball with all these kids, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this race. I really hope Haneker, can keep it up and no issues happen, because I think he's actually the one to be careful with. He's really fast. He's going to be starting first now, and we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I can guarantee you already it's going to be a battle between a whole bunch of the guys. And it's again, who can stay upright until the last few laps, and then it's everyone for its own,
Exactly. So if you did join us for the first race, you will know that it wasn't Haneker on pole, even though he did set the fastest time. There were a couple of penalties, but because of the 2-race format we have here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship, it is now all set to their qualifying time. So it is this man here, Raul Fernandez, who started on pole for the first race. He's now back in second place where he qualified, and as you can see there, he's really riding the crest of a wave in terms of the form. He got that 6th place, then that 4th place.
Look how young they look. It's crazy,
and
isn't it?
13th place. Yep, he's 15 years old, on the front row and fighting for the podium with guys like Carol Haneker, who have huge amounts of experience, and the same with Marcos Ramirez, And as you say, he looks young as well.
So hotter conditions out there. I just came back from that podium, and it's getting hot, and it's going to be the same kind of conditions where it's going to be a big group again in the front, but it'll be interesting to see what Ramirez can do again.
Yeah, he really needs to win it. I mean, as long as he finishes the race, as long as he scores points, at least 2 points, if Della Porta were to win, he will take the championship fight to Valencia, because as we said, 26 points currently separating them. If they were to leave with 50 points, then it could potentially be championship over. But as long as he is inside that top 3, it should be no worries at all for Ramirez. Then it's all just down to that last corner in Valencia. And here is another man who has retained his rightful grid position, Stefano Manzi, the 17-year-old. He's 6'2". But, you know, he still managed to get that little Moto3 bike around. He's done very, very well this season. A bit inconsistent, had a couple of crashes, a couple of mechanical faults, got caught out in that first race. But starting 4th on the grid, definitely one to watch for, especially into that first corner. He dyed his hair bright red for the race in Misano, and I'm wondering if his hair is still that color because it was very, very distinct.
Well, because of Mahindra.
I think because Mahindra is celebrating their 100th race,
right.
and I thought he thought it was like a nice gesture, but he looked a bit like a Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons, to be honest. Here is the reigning Red Bull Rookies champion, Ayumu Sasaki. He was another one who got caught out by other people's incidents in that first race.
15.
Yep, again, 15 years old, but look how cool, calm, and collected he is out there.
They look professional already. It's crazy.
That's the wonders of this Moto3 Junior World Championship is, you know, it's not only professional circuits, it's also professional teams, professional media duties. Everything is, you know, about trying to get that perfect rider essentially built to move up to the World Championship. Here is a man who needs to, in all honesty, calm down a bit, because that move that he tried in race 1 was
Here's
just...
Alberto, you know, mentor. He's a great mentor. I'm really good friends with Alberto, and we cycle a lot together. And he's been in the sport so many years, so he knows. And, you know, especially young kids like this, it's hard to calm them down, because you can imagine they're just this ball of energy that just want to go out there and win and win and win. And sometimes you got to kind of pull them back.
Yeah, exactly.
And calm them down before the race.
Exactly, it can be very, very tough. Here is the man who could wrap up the championship today if he were to win, and Ramirez were to fail to score points. Lorenzo Della Porta, as you can see there, incredible consistency after that first race in Valencia, has not stepped off the podium, has been riding in the World Championship with the Valentino Rossi team. Since joining that team, he has finished 18th, 17th, and 25th. So not really the results that many would expect from Lorenzo Della Porta, but he has been proving his worth here in the FIM-CV Repsol. And then just behind him is another Italian. It may be a Spanish championship, but much like the World Championship, huge amount of Spanish and Italians. Here is Tony Arbolino. Again, another rider who got caught up in the incidents and falls of other guys and did quite well to remount and finish in 17th. Unfortunately, no points for him because he did finish 17th. But as we can see there, he is quite capable of battling towards the front, and he was in that front group for most of the race. He is riding for the Paolo Simoncelli run team. And the hot rumour is that he will move up to the World Championship with that team next year. So if you are a fan of the Moto3 World Championship, remember the name Tony Arbolino. He, of course, won't be the only guy moving up from this field. This is the breeding ground for champions, with over 70% of the riders in the MotoGP World Championship having ridden in this series before. This man will also be moving up, Albert Arenas. He's had a huge amount of success in the SEV. Bit of a tough year this year since stepping on the Mahindra, but results are getting there, getting better and better, and he will move up with the Aspar team in the Moto3 World Championship next year. And he's a hugely experienced rider, so will no doubt supply a huge amount of valuable data for Mahindra to continue developing their bikes. It also looks like, I'm saying it does not look like Rory Skinner will be starting this race after his crash. I can't see him on his grid spot there, which should be just over the left-hand shoulder of that Mahindra mechanic. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Skinner will be starting, but there is Marco Bezzecchi. He had a technical problem in the first race and was unable to finish the race at all. Again, a bit hit or miss with the results. Sometimes he's top 10, sometimes he's having a crash or two.
That's a bummer.
Huge bummer.
You know,
and that's sort of been the story of Rory Skinner's season, is really, really, really strong, and then a crash just either injures him or saps all of his confidence.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing him out there, because he was one of the top 5 guys out there, giving some good passes and some good battles. He was even in the grass the first lap, I think.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Just speedy recovery to him. Hopefully he's okay.
Certainly,
and
yeah, certainly. Hopefully he is okay. Of course, as we said, the next round is on the 20th of November, so he does have a fair bit of time if he does need to recover from injuries, but hopefully not And Rory will be back at least in the Red Bull Rookies next year. Hasn't confirmed anything this year for this championship. There is Jeremy Alcoba, number 52, the leading rider in that Australia Galicia junior team. That team designed not only to help train riders, but also to help train
14.
mechanics. Yep, 14 years old, the youngest guy on the grid. So, yeah, that shows you just how young all of these guys get started. And, you know, he'll have been racing pre-Moto3 for several years, and maybe even Moto4 and mini bikes before that. So all of these guys have been racing for at least a little bit. That is for sure.
Does that make me old?
I think it does, unfortunately.
21?
You and I
to
are
ride
both
a Moto3?
I'm 22 and I already feel old compared to a lot of them. Anyway, here's the grid. Karel Haneke ahead of Raul Fernandez, Marcus Ramirez, Stefano Manzi fourth ahead of Sasaki and Toba, 5th and 6th for them. Lorenzo Dellaporta in 7th, Tony Arbolino 8th, and Albert Arenas in 9th spot. Nice different mix of nationalities in there. Good to see some Japanese riders getting stronger as well. Marco Bezzecchi is 10th, Jeremy Alcoba 11th, Roy Skinner won't be starting from 12th place, Gerard Ryu 13th, Kazuki Masaki in 14th, Jaume Masia 15th, Yurchenko 16 ahead of Farid and Dennis Foggia in 18th. We saw Dennis Foggia make such a great start in that first race, so keep your eyes peeled for him. Vincent Perez in 19th, Aaron Polanco 20th, Alonso Lopez number 21 in 21st, Nakar Adarat Fubapat in 22nd, ahead of Stefano Napa, Davide Pozzoli, Wallad Sopa, the Dutch rider in 25th, Yari Montoya there. Then Maximilian Kappler in 28th out of Florido 29. Filippo Follini, he had a penalty, he's in 30th. Tim Georgie, he's 31st out of Manuel Gonzalez. Gabriel Martinez Abreco, the Mexican rider, World Championship wild card and did pretty well to qualify. Angel Garcia, Livan Luchel, Yoni Rotvik, and then Chandler Cooper bringing up the rear once again. Hopefully Chandler Cooper can do a bit better this race and can keep learning from those guys ahead of him. Never easy stepping up to the FIM CEV Repsol. Such a competitive series here. You know, times are often faster than the World Championship. For instance, Karel Haneke's time, his pole time was good enough for 5th on the World Championship grid here in April. So
that just shows you, how much level this championship really has. And I mean, even the top teams in the Moto3 in this Moto3 class, they're basically the World Championship Moto3 bikes. It's basically the same. So same equipment, same everything, and I think it's a great learning stepping stone before heading towards the and get you ready for the World Championship. And just this is what. Look how slow they're going. I never understood why else.
39 riders on the grid. And that's what 39 riders on a racetrack looks like.
It looks like a mess like that. When they're racing, it actually looks nice.
No, but I remember, I think it was Brad Binder when his brother Darren first started in the Red Bull Rookies, Darren would be one of these guys who would go really slow, and I remember Brad just telling him, what are you doing? All your tires are doing is just getting cold. Why are you going so slow? And yeah, maybe still one or two things for some of these guys to learn. And then there's some guys who are just racing ahead at the front. So different strategies, but whatever helps keep them calm. And maybe some guys like sitting on the grid for a bit longer. Maybe some guys like pulling up last minute. I
remember Casey Stoner. Casey Stoner always used to
drop right to the back.
Go straight off, nearly off the track, and wait till he was the last rider and do the last, do the warm-up lap last. So. Everyone has their own ways. There's the championship points.
Exactly. So that is those are the championship standings. 26 points. So if Dellaporta can win this race and Ramirez fails to score, then Dellaporta would be the 2016 Junior World Champion. That's the only way I can really see it working out. Otherwise, I think this will go down to the last round in Valencia. There is Karel Haneke, your pole man. One to watch. He was very strong in the first race before he got taken out. Not often we get to say Karel Haneke got taken out. Usually it's him, unfortunately, taking out other riders. But hopefully he can have a good race because he has had a fair bit of bad luck since coming back to the Sev. And I would like to see him do very well. Plus, it'll give you a chance to practice your Czech when you go and interview him.
I'm sorry, I can get French and Italian, but not Czech. I can try, though.
Well, we'll have to see how that race goes. There is the man with the red flag. Looks like everyone is now on the grid. As we say, one less rider with Raw. Oh, looks like there's a problem there for Albert Arenas.
Oh, no.
He's had to stick up his hands. What will happen? Okay, the red flag is being brought back out. So the start has been delayed. Arenas, maybe he stalled it on the line. They will probably have to get him off the grid. He will most likely have to start from pit lane. Yep, it does look like he has stalled it. So disaster for Albert Arenas. Pretty tricky for all of those riders out there. You know, they were so focused for that start, and now it has just been delayed. But here we go. The red flag does go away, and we are away again. The red lights will go on, and then they will go off. And there we go. A great start from Karel Hanneke. A bit of a weird starting start from Hanneke. Very upright compared to the rest of the riders. Raul Fernandez doing well to get his small frame off the line as well. Will he get the whole shot? No, it is Karel Hanneke who gets the whole shot. Everyone tipping in there. Not such a great start from Dennis Foggia as in the first race, but it does look like everyone is safely through that first corner. That's what 39 riders look like going through turn 1 at
Turn 2 is
Jerez.
so sketchy, I swear. There's just no room in that corner because it's such a tight hairpin. I wonder if Arenas stalled the bike. That's what I'm wondering, or he had a technical issue. But unfortunately for him, you know, he was one of the strong riders up there. It's not a nice way to start the race.
Exactly, pretty tricky for him, but it has been a nice start for Karel Hanneke. He is out in the lead with Fernandez, Ramirez and Toba once again behind him. Pretty similar guys up the front to what we saw in the first race. Lorenzo Della Porta, he's in there as well, just behind Stefano Manzi. Looks like a bit of a mistake there for one of the Australia Galicia bikes. Maybe it's Jaume Macia there. And we have just gotten in the tyre sheets, and as ever, they are all on medium tyres. So no difference between these guys there. But Karel Hanneke not having it easy out the front. Marcos Ramirez.
If I was one of the back guys, I'd just put soft and try to
try and gas it.
Try to lead it for like 2-3 laps, and then all right, then just pull in and say, listen, add a soft tire and can do much more.
Certainly a good way to get some TV time by jumping from last up to the something coming off someone's bike there. Maybe a bit of a toe slide or something like that. Fernandez up the inside of Ramirez there to move up into second place as they come to complete this last lap.
Talk about using track, they're using everything.
It doesn't look like Albert Arenas has been able to restart the bike. It looks like he is back in the pits, unfortunately for him. So a bit unfortunate for the Mahindra rider there. But Stefano Manzi doing the Indian brand proud at the front. And as you're saying there, Dakota, everyone taking full use of everything the circuit is providing there.
For sure. It's there, so use it.
Exactly.
That's the way they're thinking.
Exactly. Karel Hanneke doing pretty well. Where is Lorenzo Della Porta? Lorenzo Della Porta down in 8th place, which is not what he would have wanted at all. Pretty decent for Marcos Ramirez. You know, he just needs to focus on finishing ahead of Lorenzo Della Porta, try and get as far in front as he can. Looks like Stefano Manzi there behind, battling with Della Porta, the championship hopeful. There is Albert Arenas. Unfortunately, race over for him. He's clearly disappointed with that one. He will be racing in Japan, Australia and Sepang for the Peugeot team. So hopefully he can
unfortunate. I think he's had a couple of those technical problems this year. And,
yeah, he seems to always just get a bit unlucky.
It's not a good. Yeah, it's not nice. It's not a nice feeling because now he's got to sit in his box and watch a race where he knows he could be in. And
exactly, battling with those top guys there. But it is Karel Hanneke who is currently the top of the top guys with Marcos Ramirez behind him. Again, Fernandez doing really, really well, showing that pace that he's been developing in the last couple of rounds. Here comes Ramirez. Will he try something? No. Jeremy Alcoba, a bit ambitious there. Manages to keep it upright and just get it stopped. Doesn't do a Kaito Toba, 2 Kaito Toba. And we still have 14 thrilling laps to go.
It's going to be 14 laps of just brutal passing and fun.
Lots of elbows, is all I can say. Lots and lots of elbows. And Dennis Foggia, he's in 13th place after battling for the lead. His start not quite as good as it was in that first race. Marco Bezzecchi, he's having a much better time as he's now in 9th place just behind his teammate Stefano Manzi. There you can see Manzi just at the back of your picture there. It looks like Ramirez has now taken the lead of the race from Karel Hanneke. Hanneke settling in to 2nd spot as they make their way down the back straight, 600 meters long, into the dry sack corner. What's that, 5 across?
5 or 6.
Easy Jeremy Alcoba there trying to take a nice tight line to get up the inside of Raul Fernandez, but it does look like Fernandez will have the inside line as they flick it back to the left. Fernandez doing very, very well there. Lorenzo Della Porta riding a bit more cautious than we're used to seeing him. Now at the back of this group, not
Do you think he's thinking about the championship?
Maybe. I mean, 26 points. You know, that's the sort of points where you can, you know, get second a couple of times, maybe finish off the podium once, and hopefully still be okay.
Where's my man, Foggia? I missed that guy.
Dennis Foggia. He is currently 12th.
Foggia.
Oh, he just moved up to 11th. So maybe if you keep mentioning him.
I love that guy's riding style.
It's pretty crazy. So is this last corner. Tony Arbolino up the inside of Karel Hanneke to move into second place. A great move from the Italian there. Karel Hanneke needs to sharpen those elbows a bit. He's been beaten up that last lap. Meanwhile, Raul Fernandez just sitting solid in 4th place ahead of Kaito Toba, then of Della Porta. Ayumu Sasaki then in 6th place, sorry. Just ahead of Della Porta. Della Porta now is starting to make some moves. Della Porta launched an attack there to move up into 4th place, trying to hunt down this leading trio of 2 KTMs and a Honda.
Tony is the only one in 47.9, but Rhythm's always going to be 48. Last race was also 48, so.
Yeah, and with this much battling, I mean, I guess it's pretty hard to try and set consistent laps when you constantly have about 8.
That's why I admire them riders that can win a Moto3 race by a long gap, because it's hard to do.
Well, big move for Hanneke, but then Arbolino says thank you very much as the door gets opened, and Arbolino snatches the lead. Everyone probably a bit lucky there to stay up through that dry sack corner, in all honesty, but it's still Lorenzo Della Porta in 4th. As we said, if the race were to finish like that, the championship would continue on to Valencia between Ramirez and Della Porta. Kaito Toba up the inside of Della Porta to move into 4th place. Hanneke sitting quite pretty in 2nd spot, just ahead of Marcos Ramirez, Kaito Toba and Della Porta. A bit wide there, they have to be careful.
Yeah, I know, because they can get a penalty, I think.
Exactly, we saw 3 riders get 5-second penalties in that first race for continually exceeding track limits. So if they keep doing that, you could very easily see something go from being a win to being, say, if you were to get demoted 5 places, Matt, if you won this race and were to get a 5-second penalty, you would go from 1st to 14th. So have to be very, very careful about that one. Oh, Kaito Toba standing up Lorenzo Della Porta.
A little aggressive.
We know how aggressive Kaito Toba is. He's a really, really hard rider, maybe a bit too hard on occasions, but that's exactly what Marcos Ramirez wants. As Ramirez, can he do the double? No, doesn't look like he quite can. Kaito Toba there, lovely crash helmet for Kaito Toba. Really like how his helmet looks. Looks like there might have been a crash or something in the background as I saw a marshal just jogging across the screen. So yeah, Della Porta is now with the Asia Talent Team riders, with the Mahindra riders, with his teammate Karel Hanneke back in the lead. All of those, what's that, all of the top 7 or 8 riders now all together. So it's a big, nice battle at the front, just as we saw in that first race.
You can tell Hanneke's, you know, he's fast. You can know. He's always leading it, or 2nd or 3rd. Oh, big moment.
Big moment for Manzi. We've seen him have a couple of those wobbles as well.
Track, I think, is getting hot, and it's a little bit greasier than this morning. You've seen a lot more wobbles in this race than the first race already, and it's only been 6 laps, so.
Yep, certainly. Here we go into turn 13. Jorge Lorenzo corner. Lorenzo Della Porta tries to go up the inside of Stefano Manzi. Manzi tries to ride around the outside, but manages to do it. Manages to just defend his position from Della Porta. Great ride from the tall Italian. Into turn 1 yet again.
Oh,
and that looks like Filippo Fellini. Looks like a big crash for him. Clearly a problem with his left hand. So hopefully he is all okay there. And there's nothing too serious going on with him.
They're using a lot of that outside curve. They need to be careful.
They have to be really careful. They also have to be careful that these top four don't break away too much. And there we see Fellini just being stretched away. Have to be careful that no one undertook under yellow flags there, because of course that can be a penalty if anyone did undertake or overtake under yellow flags, rather. Arbolino trying to make some big moves into that dry sack corner again, and as we saw with Kaito Toba last race, it doesn't always work out so well. Della Porta trying to lead that chasing group to close up the gap to those leaders. Currently at about a third of a second between that first and second group, so not a huge gap, but it's still a gap. Meanwhile, Karel Hanneke is trying to break away at the front. Can Hanneke do it? Can Hanneke take his first race win of 2016 and prove that he was unjustly cut from his Moto3 team in the World Championship? Or will that man there, Marcus Ramirez, have something different to say about it as he fights for the championship? Ramirez has come so close to so many Moto3 titles before. Will this be the final year that he gets it done?
See, Moto3 is tough because it's not like that you can do much tactics. So about 3 laps to go, you know, it's
just try and stay with the group.
Just try and stay with the group, have a good time, and actually see where you feel more comfortable, and especially passing, you know. Try passing people in areas and see if it can work for the last lap. A lot of people going under the inside of that.
As I said, everyone's banging out those mid 148s. That does seem to be the race pace. We've had a couple of guys dip into the 147s, namely Tony Arbolino, currently the fastest lap of the race, but otherwise it is 148s for days, as they say. So in total we have had 3 retirements. We've got Gindi, Florido and Fellini. They have all had to retire, unfortunately. But it doesn't seem like anyone is able to break away from this battle at
Hanneke's doing great, just keeping that pace up. Raul Fernandez is not... Oh yeah, he's at the back of the group.
Yeah, he's not as strong as he was in the first race, right? But
first race was stronger. Still. But again, he could just be waiting. You never know what these kids are thinking.
That, and this is his first year in the championship.
There he goes.
Oh, big move there. Runs it very, very, very wide.
Talking about him.
Commentator's curse. Some big moves further back as well. Vincent Perez, number 43, he's up into 11th place ahead of Misaki. Jared Ryu, Nakaran Adarat Fubupat, who's in 13th place now, just ahead of Jared Ryu. And then Aaron Blanco rounds out the points currently. Makar Yachenko down in 18th. He's really expecting more from the Russian rider.
I kind of want to like go fast forward to like the last 2-3 laps.
It would be pretty good, but then you'd miss moments such as that where it looked like they were going to go 3 abreast. And Kaito Toba,
I think the riders want that too. They just want to fast forward.
I'm sure that a couple of them would love to just skip to the last corner and just see how late they can go on the brakes. That would probably be ideal for a couple of them. Oh, there here comes Della Porta. Has to slow it down a bit because Karel Hanneke is in his way.
Yeah, Della Porta and Ramirez are in 2 critical positions because they can't afford to get 0 points.
No, exactly.
It's gonna, you know.
And as we saw in that first race, sometimes it can be a mistake that you had nothing to do with. Whoa, what a big move there from that looks like Ayumu Sasaki on the Honda Team Asia bike, number 33, the Red Bull World Champion. Big move there from the Japanese rider on Stefano Manzi. But yeah, there, Della Porta. He's surrounded by some riders who are, looks like, I was worried there Stefano Manzi was going to take out the back of Lorenzo Della Porta, but managed to get it stopped just in time as we start lap number 10 out of 16. 8 laps to go, sorry, lap 8, not lap 10, my bad math there. It is still Tony Arbolino who leads. Very impressed with Tony Arbolino. He's been very, very strong this race, and he's pretty strong in the first race as well, to be honest. Ramirez doing exactly what he needs to do, just watching and waiting, trying to stay out of as much trouble as he can. Meanwhile, there is Marco Bezzecchi bringing up the rear of this 9-rider battle for victory. It is currently Nakra and Adarat Fuvapat in 10th spot. So pretty good ride from the Thai rider as well, but he's 6 seconds off this group at the front. So
I also, I cycle a lot, and I've cycled in a lot of groups, and a lot of people going wide there. What these riders are also thinking is you cannot lose a small gap. As soon as you start losing a small gap to that long kind of group, it's hard, really hard to gain that gap back, and it's 60–70% of the time you won't gain that gap back, and that's what you make a small mistake and you're like, I need to get it back, and then you make another mistake, and then you're 0.5 off of that group, and it does make a difference.
Yep, certainly can, and it looks like there are some pretty big gaps now starting to open up. It looks like Arbolino, he's got some clear space. It looks like Della Porta, he's dropped back on Toba a fair bit. And then there's this nice little group of 4 riders just here at the back, all battling. Big look over the shoulder there for Arbolino, trying to figure out where everyone is. 7 laps to go. What can Della Porta and Ramirez do? That is the big question.
Little move by
probably Bezzecchi.
Manzi, I think.
Manzi and Bezzecchi, the 2 teammates there. Both now full VR46 riders, so they'll definitely be familiar with each other, training together on Rossi's ranch. But certainly no love lost between them as they battle for top Mahindra honours.
He's really pushing down.
Yep. You can always be sure that Stefano Manzi is pushing.
See, that's what I was saying. He lost that little gap in turn 2 by making that mistake, and he's pushing harder and harder to try to gain that gap back. But sometimes you tend to make more and more mistakes that way, because you do not want to lose that little group.
Now Fernandez doing very well in 7th place again. Another potential top 10 for him. Bezzecchi hunching for a way through on the 15-year-old Spanish rider. Ayumi Sasaki there, as we said, he is the Red Bull Rookies champion. Took 4 wins, I believe it was. He got 4 wins and only twice off the podium in his entire Red Bull Rookies campaign this year, so a very good season for Sasaki, and he is now battling with Lorenzo Della Porta, the Feist Italian. Bit of a look up the inside there for Ramirez. What were their lap times like this lap? Last lap, most of them were doing low 148s. What will they be now as they come across the line? It looks like it is low 148s yet again. 148.2, 148.3s all over the shop. Everyone just seems to be riding very calmly, which is quite odd for Moto3.
You never know. He also could think, I doubt it, but like second race of the day, a race takes a lot of energy out of you. I know it. And I've had 2 races in one day, and it's amazing how differently you ride when you're tired. And these kids are probably, I don't know, but they could be getting tired, so they're not riding as aggressive as the first race. But don't worry, when there's 3 laps to go, they're going to give every single bit they have left in them.
Exactly. It looks like Ramirez
put on a show.
Looks like Ramirez has just taken the lead. Maybe Ramirez will try and create a bit of a gap, try and use Tony Arbolino to hold up Karel Haneker. because it seems like now that he's gone past Arbolino, it seems like he definitely had the pace. And with Lorenzo Della Porta stuck down in 5th place, this could be very, very big news for Marcos Ramirez and his championship ambitions. He will certainly finish at least in 2nd. Karel Hanneke also looking for a way past Tony Arbolino. Can he bully the young Italian out of the way down into this final corner? Turn 13. Will Hanneke make a move? No, not quite. He just sits and waits. It is Marcus. Ooh, bit of a wobble there from Arbolino. That opens the door for Hanneke, but I think Arbolino will have the speed down the straight as he is so small compared to Karel Hanneke. And yep, there we go. Gets just ahead of him. Can Hanneke do it on the brakes? Oh no, Hanneke gets mugged on the brakes as Kaito Toba slides up the inside as well. Lorenzo Della Porta now in that group. Oh, ready for the podium as well. There's that sketchy turn 2 you were telling us about earlier.
It's going to be a close one. I mean, if these guys keep battling, the first, you know, Hanneke and Ramirez might go.
That is a big danger, especially with someone like Tony Arbolino, who still doesn't have a huge amount of experience separating them. They could easily find themselves gapped. Ramirez currently pushing on to try and get 1/3 of a second advantage over the rest of the field. But through that dry sack corner, they all just constantly team up. They all get so close together.
Now they're starting moving up to high 48s, low 49s. You know, tires are getting wore out. This is where we'll start to see a little bit more wobbling and you know, moments. But then again, all these kids are thinking, okay, where should I be in what place at what time that last lap? And you don't want to be too far back, but you don't want to be the first guy. It sounds weird that you don't want to be the first guy, but you could be first and then end up 7th and turn and that back straight away.
Exactly. Bit of a wider line there from Karel Hanneke. More sweeping. It is still Marcos Ramirez in control of this race. KTM 1-2, then Honda 3-4, and then the Husqvarna / KTM Lorenzo Della Porta in 5th
I feel like
Honda's
made a big step this year. I mean KTM, sorry. KTM's made a big step this year because last year Honda seemed to be the dominating bike, and even in the World Championship, everyone was just talking about Honda, and this year I think KTM's actually pushed Honda, and you know, they've dominated here. They've definitely dominated with Brad Binder, and but then again, it's no doubt that a Honda or KTM right now are the 2 top manufacturers out there.
Yeah, pretty much evenly matched. You know, they do require slightly different styles. Oh, big move here from Arbolino. Gets up the inside of Karel Hanneke, does it well to get it stopped to slide in behind Marcos Ramirez. That's the sort of thing that Ramirez really wants, guys battling behind him and slowing each other up, allowing him to hopefully increase that gap. It is all neck and neck now. It looks like Raul Fernandez has been dropped from this group just a tiny bit. It also looks like Stefano Manzi has now fallen way behind. Manzi now 5 seconds behind this front group. So maybe, as you were saying, those small gaps very quickly became very big for Stefano Manzi, as he was no longer able to make use of the slipstream.
A lot of looks over the shoulders. Oh.
Yeah. Arbolino wants his turn to lead again. Ramirez back to 2nd with Hanneke still in 3rd. Lorenzo Della Porta, really patient ride from him. He's not really attacking. He's sort of just sitting there and, you know, letting everyone do their own thing.
Oh, saying that.
Yeah, just as I say that, slides up into 4th ahead of Kaito Toba.
3 laps to go. This is when you start getting, you know, these. Oh, Hanneke really on the rear brake.
Big move from
backing it in.
Again, Lorenzo Della Porta exceeding track limits there, needs to be really careful because if race direction calling out 5 seconds, that would drop him to 8th place if he were to win this race. So you know, this race might not be over even when the checkered flag comes out. We could have some drama right till the end.
Oh, Hanneke needs to stay up.
Big head shake from Hanneke. You can see how hard he was braking there, just pushing to the absolute limit on that KTM.
You'll also start to see, you know,
That looks like that is Martinez Abrego and number 20.
Good sportsmanship.
Yeah, nice little hug there from each other. Here, looks like we'll get a replay of the incident.
Oh, high side and then, yeah.
Yeah, and then the bike just hit him.
You can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Nice to see the Gabriel Martinez go over
sure.
there and at least give him a hug. You know, of course, there was nothing that either of them could do in that situation to stop it. But as you say, always good to see some sportsmanship.
2 laps to go.
2 laps to go. Top 7 all together, neck and neck. Under a second between the top 7 riders. 3 abreast into turn 1 as Marcos Ramirez slides into first place. His chief title rival, Lorenzo Della Porta, is in 4th. He needs to get on the podium. Both of these guys desperately want to win the race and potentially the championship. As we said, if Lorenzo Della Porta is the victor and Ramirez fails to score, then he will be the 2016 Moto3 Junior World Championship. But it's not over until the fat lady sings. We still do have 2 races and 50 potential points up for grabs in Valencia, and there are still 2 thrilling laps of this race here in Jerez to go.
Hanneke is one of them riders. It's weird. You don't really see many riders in Moto3 put their leg out, and Hanneke is the only really one I see that rides like that.
There it comes out, that big leg.
Oh,
to be fair, he's a pretty big guy. Oh, bit of touching there between Lorenzo Della Porta and Kaito Toba.
This is where the lions get out of the cage, and you know, everyone thinks about themselves. And
Kaito Toba really looking for a way past Lorenzo Della Porta.
Really, the best position in this situation is 3rd place or 3rd, 4th. You know, all those positions. You don't want to be drifted too far back, because then, you know, you got to work up for it. But 1st, 2nd, you can easily get past on that straight away in this next lap. But again, Ramirez always last 2 laps. It's like he comes out with like this extra little pace and just.
All Ramirez needs to do as we begin this final lap is defend. Lorenzo Della Porta has been beaten up by the 2 Asia Talent Team riders, so Lorenzo Della Porta is down in 6th position. This would be huge for Marcos Ramirez's title chance, but there's this last lap, 4.4 kilometers to go. Anything could still happen. Karel Hanneke, he's still in the hunt. He's hungry for victory. Tony Arbolino, can he take a first win? Can Lorenzo Della Porta get past the Asia Talent Team riders, or will they slow the Italian down? It doesn't look like anyone else will be in contention for victory apart from those top 3, unless there is major drama. Kaito Toba there in 4th. Pretty lonely race. There we see Lorenzo Della Porta with Sasaki and Bezecchi behind him. These 2 can still play a huge role in Lorenzo Della Porta's race. But it seems like Lorenzo Della Porta is not going to be in contention for victory. Probably not even contention for the podium. Here we come into the dry set corner for the final time. The big leg of Karel Hanneke comes out. Can he do anything? No. Tony Arbolino slides into 1st.
Ramirez is really good the last laps I've seen, and there he goes again. You know, he's trying to show them that, you know, he's the strong one out of the whole group. And
watch out for Kaito Toba here, who's at the back of this group, and it's all going to come down to the final corner.
Him and Hanneke, here we go.
Him and Hanneke, who will be the latest of the late breakers. In the words of Kevin Schwantz, see God, then break. I think that those words will be drawn upon going into turn 13. The Jorge Lorenzo corner, they come around the Ferrari corner for the last time. Here we go into the last corner. Who's it going to be? Ramirez takes the title line. Oh, a bit of a twitch from the front. It looks like everyone's going to get through cleanly. Who will get the drive to the line? Will Tony Arbolino take his first ever Moto3 Junior World Championship victory?
Yes, he will.
And yes, it looks like Tony Arbolino takes it. An incredible ride from the Italian ahead of Marcos Ramirez, Karel Hanneke, Kaito Toba, Lorenzo Della Porta in 5th. So he might not have won the race, but Marcos Ramirez has managed to make up some decent points, 9 points.
Arbolino did a great job in breaking into that last corner. He didn't even shut the door or anything, and nobody really tried to go underneath him. And
really,
that's
really
not easy
incredible
to
ride.
do. I know that. So great job to him. And it's his first win.
His first ever victory.
Nice.
And the first ever win for that 58 Squadra team. He had a podium before, but you know, we saw in the first race he was a bit unlucky to get caught up in the crash of Rory Skinner. He definitely had the pace for the podium. You can see how much that win means to him. Absolutely incredible for the young Italian, number 44. But as we said, Della Porta 5th, Ayumu Sasaki in 6th place, Marco Bezzecchi in 7th, ahead of Raul Fernandez in 8th, Vincent Perez 9th, Nakun Adarat Fuvupat, he managed to finish out in the top 10, ahead of Stefano Manzi actually, so probably some pretty big problems there for Stefano Manzi. Karel Haneker, he's 3rd, he looks pretty happy with that one, big wheelie on his KTM there. And then Manzi in 11th, Jared Ryu in 12th, Aaron Palenko 13th, Masaki 14th, and then Jaume Masia again rounds out the points. Then Dennis Foggia, Dakota's favourite rider, again blowing hot and cold, up there fighting for the win in the first race and then out of the points in the second race. Can he get that consistency? That is the big question. Of course, this is his first year in the Spanish Championship, so no major worries. He will no doubt have another crack at this again. It is still a long way to go for a lot of these riders. Some big wheelies to celebrate the end of the weekend. We've had 5 incredible races here today in Jerez. And what a stunning weekend for that man there, number 44. His first ever victory. Big wheelie for the Italians there. They might not all be part of the VR46 Academy, but certainly the Italians all do stick together. You know, you can often see them hanging out around the back of the pits and reminiscing about Italy, no doubt. My Italian is not that good, so I would have to have a bit of a guess as to what they are actually saying. But enjoy that one, Tony Arbolino. Hopefully we'll see you in the World Championship next year with that team, as we said, run by Paolo Simoncelli, the father of the late Marco Simoncelli. Paolo setting up that team to honour the memory of Marco and help bring through some young Italian talent. You know, there's now so many ways if you're a young Italian rider to get up into the World Championship and to show your true potential, be it through that 58 Squadra Corsa team or with the VR46 Academy. And just down there, Tony Arbolino, bit of a moment with the bike, his head down on the tank, now up congratulating the team. A huge weekend for him, not just as a person, but in his racing career. There's his family and his fan club come all the way from Italy to see him do his best in this championship, and what an incredible ride from him. You know, in all honesty, I wasn't sure if he would be able to do it. I thought that maybe a guy like Ramirez with that bit more experience would be able to maybe pip him to the post, but no. Hats off to you, sir. And I cannot wait to see what the final round in Valencia does bring. As we said, we do have 2 races for the Moto3 Junior World Championship, as their title is still wide open between the leaders. It was 26 points. That gap has now closed by 9. So by my mental math, that now means there are 17 points separating Ramirez and Della Porta. So it is still very much all to play for in Valencia on the 20th of November. Please do join us there, as we say. It is free to come along if you're a fan, and it is also broadcast on TV and also through YouTube on the FIM CEV Repsol Championship. So there's really no excuse for missing out on what is set to be an incredible weekend. And we will soon get to hear from young Mr. Tony Arbolino, who has no doubt been a tiny bit emotional at his first ever win. Because, you know, you can certainly understand that these guys, huge emotion. You know, so many of these families sacrifice so much. And I believe that Dakota is waiting down there with our young Italian friend.
Arbolino, primera victoria en Moto3. Dinos cómo ha ido la carrera.
La carrera ha ido muy bien. Tío, esta vuelta en la segunda carrera voy subito nella primera posición porque es importante. Ahora estoy muy contento, no sé qué, no so hablar. Grazie a tutti i miei meccanici, tutto il mio team per questa vittoria che la cercavo da tanto e sono molto contento. Grazie a tutti.
A very emotional young man there, still fighting back the tears, but more than understandable. No doubt a bright future for him in racing, especially with all that wonderful support behind him. Here we have the final results. It looks like, oh, actually huge news here. Lorenzo Della Porta has been handed a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Lorenzo Della Porta drops to 8th, so I'm not sure what that'll do to the championships, but it was Tony Arbolino ahead of Marcus Ramirez, Karel Haneke, Kaito Toba, Ayumu Sasaki, Marco Bezzecchi, Raul Fernandez now finishes ahead of his teammate, Nakranada at Fuvapat in 10th, Stefano Manzi in 11th spot ahead of Jared Ryu, Aaron Palenko 13th, Kazuki Misaki 14th, Jao Masia 15th, Dennis Foggia in 16th, Wallad Sop in 17th spot. And here are the highlights from that fantastic second race. Karel Haneke got a great start. Haneke with a really upright starting style. Quite interesting from the Czech rider. Everyone managed to get through turn 1 safe and sound, which is exactly what we like to see. And then there was another typical huge 7 or so rider battle out at the front. Everyone going at it. Hammer and tongs at the start and at the end. And what a turn. Turn 13. Just some absolutely incredible moments through that corner. Big movements for everyone. Dry sack. Here we go. Turn 6. Another big one. Tony Arbolino. How aggressive was he? But little did we know that some of these passes would be instrumental in him taking our first ever victory. Lorenzo Della Porta, he got duffed around, and then as we've now found out, he has been demoted 5 seconds. So he has now finished in 8th position, which is not so good for his championship challenge. For 8th place, he will get 8 points. So it now means that Ramirez has earned 12 points on him. So that is all huge for the championship. And here we go into dry sack once again. Look at that move from Tony Arbolino. Expert to slide past Karel Haneke. And then tuck in behind Ramirez. And here we go. Look at that. Into the final corner. Like a true champion for Tony Arbolino there. As we heard when he was interviewed, almost fighting back the tears. It wasn't an easy last lap as guys like Karel Haneke were hungry for the podium. And oh, there was a crash. There was that crash that we saw. Luckily, everyone was okay, and there was a hug after that crash. And then classic Moto3 style, it was 3 abreast into turn 1 for most of the race, and it was a bit of a lucky dip as to who would win it, but skill did prevail for young Tony Arbolino as he fended off the hyper-experienced Marcos Ramirez and Karel Haneke. Cannot fault the Italian for that victory. And what a day it has been here in Jerez. We've had some great racing, we've had some memorable moments, we've had a champion
some tears
crowned.
in his eyes.
Exactly, we've had some tears. What more could you want from a day of motorcycle racing? Dakota, I don't know if you saw, but Lorenzo Della Porta, 5-second penalty, finished 8th because of that. We told everyone to be careful.
Championship down to the wire now.
Exactly. Ramirez has now gained back 12 points from finishing in 2nd place, so that's absolutely massive for him. And look, again, we can
you need to be careful with, and they keep, they repeat it. You need to be careful. You're gonna get that 5-second penalty, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Exactly. Exactly. And there you can see Paolo Simoncelli on the left there, the manager owner of the 658 Squad Corsa team. Exactly. His hard work and dedication to the sport paying off, and no doubt that's an incredible feeling, not only for young Tony, but also for Paolo. Great to know that at least that team will be moving to the World Championship, and I guess after that ride that you'd have to assume that Tony will probably be top of their shopping list to go to the top. And again, Alex Yu takes victory in the production class. We didn't get to see much of that, but he did put up a pretty solid ride to take 27th place ahead of Hector Garzo, his fellow production class rider. Now, here we go. Karel Haneke, the Czech pilot, gets his first podium of the year in the set of little sherry glass for him.
Champagne glass.
Well, he can use it as a champagne glass
Yes,
now.
he can.
And then Marcos Ramirez, I wonder if he knows just how difficult a time
You know what? I don't
Lorenzo
think he
Della Porta has
does.
had.
I think he thinks he's still, you know, De La Porta's finished. What did he finish? Like 4th or 5th? 5th. So when he gets off that podium, he's going to be a happier guy.
Extra little surprise for him there, but no doubt the happiest man of today, Tony Arbolino, the Italian. A beautiful moment for him in the team, and there you can see along the bottom of the screen, just confirmation of Lorenzo Della Porta's penalty. Tony Arbolino gets his first ever oversized check. Check's almost as big as him.
Yeah, basically.
But what a great day's racing, and hopefully you will be joining us, as we said, in Valencia for the last round, because this drama is set to continue. There's nothing stopping.
2 more races left. Anything can happen.
Exactly. 50 points up for grabs, and now it's time for the Italian national anthem. What a great moment there for everyone on that podium. Yet again, Tony Arbolino not getting any of the cava, just some fizzy water.
Oh, that's not fair.
But yeah, Ramirez and Hanekom make sure he knows just
the
how
spray is like to double the strength on the champagne bottle.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like maybe there's some confusion with the trophy. Paolo Simoncelli and Carol Hanekom just swapping trophies there for the right one. But no, great to see Paolo Simoncelli and Tony Arbolino up there. And so now here we have what this has done to the most important part, the championship. There you can see along the bottom of the screen. 20th of November, 2 Moto3 races, 1 Superbike, 1 Moto2, 1 Kawasaki Z Cup. It is still Lorenzo Della Porta who leads. Just 14 points ahead of Marcos Ramirez. Kaito Toba third, out of title contention, but could still play a factor. Raul Fernandez strong in 4th, ahead of Sasaki. Tony Arbolino jumps up to 6th. Masaki in 7th. Albert Arena still in 8th. Dennis Foggia in 10th. Stefano Manzi in 11th place. He had some problems and dropped down the order. Jeremy Alcoba 12th. Naka Yachenko 13th. Jao Masia 14th. Naka and Adarat Fuvapat moves up. Jared Ryu 19th. Enzo Bullon 20th. Vincent Perez. John McPhee 22nd. Alex Ruiz 23rd. Florido 24th. Pizzoli 25th. Yari Montoya 6 points in 26th. Andy Farad 27 points for the Indonesian, or 27 for the Indonesian rider. Maximilian Kapler 2 points. Then, as we said, Rory Skinner once again bringing up the rear with that. Just a tough season for him, but hopefully it'll learn him. We'll catch you next time in Valencia.